Dear friends of the University of Nottingham, it is a great pleasure to participate in this very interesting event on the cities of the future. I think this is an opportunity to think about a much more sustainable living. I would like to share with all of you the experience of Fundación Metropoli. We built Fundación Metropoli with the dream of building the cities of the future. Our objectives is knowledge creation and sharing in a very difficult and challenging world. We do our work in three dimensions. One is research, second is design of cities, and third is incubation, going from ideas to reality. Fundación Metropoli was born in Philadelphia at the University of Pennsylvania 20 years ago. Today, the headquarters of Fundación Metropoli is in Madrid. The building of Fundación Metropoli in Madrid we call the Eco Box. The Eco Box is the environmental building of Fundación Metropoli that symbolizes the dream of building a sustainable future. And we use the latest technology for reducing the consumption of energy. This UCELA annual conference is a fantastic opportunity to analyze the relationship between law and cities of the future. In my opinion, law needs to establish a clear defense of heritage, nature, and the identity of the city. It is very important that the law can defend the public space, the common space of people, and also establishing mechanisms for the designing the cities of the future, not only top-down, but also bottom-up. It is important also that flexibility in the rule or law should be taken into consideration, because cities need a permanent transformation, need creativity, need adaptation, is in permanent evolution. That's the reason why it is important that the law establish mechanism to allow to defend the key component of the city, but at the same time providing the flexibility necessary for the collaboration between public and private institutions. Today we live in a world of cities, but cities today are totally different than cities a few decades ago. Today cities are not the municipal boundaries. Today cities are not even the metropolitan areas. Cities of today are functional areas and polycentric structures that allow people to live, work, play, and learn in a bigger context. It is important to understand the evolution of cities worldwide. Traditionally, megacities, the biggest cities of the world, was growing very fast. Today, medium-sized cities will represent and will have a more important protagonism in the future. We can analyze statistics and discovering the contribution of middle-sized cities to the GDP of the world. And in few years, in less than a couple of decades, medium-sized cities will go from representing 10% of the GDP of the world to represent almost 40% of the GDP of the world. The key issue for medium-sized cities is that they cannot be globally relevant because they don't have the connectivity, they don't have the critical mass to operate at the global scale. Medium-sized cities, to be relevant, need to collaborate with other cities, need to work in urban systems, need to work in territorial diamonds. Megacities in the world are facing very important challenges, particularly the increase in the prices of land, the congestion, pollution, a lot of difficulties in social integration, but medium-sized cities are better prepared to offer a new equilibrium between the three components of the urban trilogy. The urban trilogy means economic competitiveness, social cohesion, and environmental sustainability. In my opinion, medium-sized cities can give a better response, a better solution for integrating the challenges of building the habitat of the future. But as I was telling before, medium-sized cities has not the capacity to operate at the global scale in an appropriate way. That's the reason why medium-sized cities need to participate in urban system in territorial diamonds. Diamonds and territorial diamonds for us is a metaphor that represent when we analyze a diamond, we see points, lines, and surfaces. Points are the cities, lines are the connections, and the surfaces are the environmental system. I mean the agricultural system, natural system. So polishing a diamond means to work together in improving our cities, improving their connection, and defending our environmental system. In my opinion, territorial diamonds will be a much more balanced response, a much more human response to the challenges of building the cities of the future. Around the world, we can see today mayors that are really doing a fantastic contribution for the transformation of cities. Sometimes without a lot of political power, with a very small budget, with a very limited time in power, they really have the capacity to make extraordinary changes. These cities, with this capacity to define their future, with this capacity of leadership, with this capacity to do more with less, we call super cities. Super city can be a small village, a medium-sized city, or a megacity region. But super cities are cities with a vision, cities with a project, with the capacity to really be a reference worldwide. I remember some cities that impressed me a lot over the last few decades, and I would like to share with you some of them. For instance, Bilbao, Singapore, and Medellin, cities that in different contexts did extraordinary transformation. Bilbao in '82, after flooding destroyed the historical center, used to be a city with a very deteriorated economy, environmental problems, terrorism problem, and in few decades, in less than 30 years, Bilbao went from a very disarticulated society and structure to be a global reference. So Bilbao is a clear example of transformation with a clear vision. It's not only about the Guggenheim of Bilbao, it's about the Bilbao effect. 25 projects, 25 years, a real transformation. In the case of Singapore, Singapore in 50 years went from third world to the first world. A city with the capacity to reinvent permanently. And today Singapore is becoming a laboratory of experimentation of urban solution and a reference worldwide, particularly in Asia, where they are developing the concept of sustainable city of high density. And also, I would like to share with you the fantastic experience of the transformation of Medellin. Medellin was one of the most dangerous cities in the world, only 20, 30 years ago. And today, Medellin is one global reference for social urbanism, for connecting the poor areas of the city with the facilities, with the transportation system, with the school. And today, there is a much more integrated society in a very difficult context. Cities like Bilbao, like Singapore, like Medellin are examples of super cities, cities with the capacity to do more with less. Today, we live in a global economy. And today, we can see a competition, different components. Countries are competing, universities are competing for talents, we have people competing, companies competing, and cities also compete. The competition today in the global economy is not between countries. Competition is between cities, because cities have more capacity to make things happen. Cities have the capacity to make the companies more competitive and at the same time to provide quality of life for people, for citizens. Today in cities we find the talent, we find the ideas, and we have the key components of the global economy. That's the reason why cities are becoming more relevant, are becoming more important, and we have the responsibility of planning and designing the cities of the future, considering the important role in job creation and in the production of wealth for the humanity. As I was saying before, the cities are the engine of the global economy, but at the same time, cities are a key for social integration. Today, we have an important movement of migration around the world, and when people arrive in a country, the key issue is how we can integrate them, and that happens at the scale of the cities. The scale of the cities is where we can provide housing, we can provide schools, we can provide public space, interaction. Today, cities are the landmark for social integration, for social cohesion. And in my opinion, public space is the more democratic component of the city. It's where people can meet together, rich and poor, people living in the city and visitors. So social space and public space in the city is a key component of designing the cities of the future. Cohesion, social integration is, in my opinion, one of the key components, one of the key challenges we need to face when designing the cities of the future. In my opinion, climate change is a challenge that the humanity is facing, and we can work city by city. We can work at the scale of the city, at the scale of metropolitan area, and the scale of the region. The CO2 emission at the global scale are mainly produced by cities, and it's at the scale of the city where we can really face the challenge of building a sustainable future, of really developing a sustainable environment. In synthesis, economy, society, and environment represent the urban trilogy. Sustainability is not only about economy, it's not only about environment, it's not only about social integration. Sustainability is the combination of these three components. And in my opinion, we can face this new balance, this new equilibrium at the medium scale of the cities easier than when we face these challenges at the scale of megacities. Today we are living a technological revolution. Digital technology can really change the way we live and the way we design the cities of the future. We can find some key megatrends at the global scale. Cloud computing, social networks, big data, mobile devices that create a new technological environment that will be key for the application of artificial intelligence and also for the application of this concept to the Internet of Things. Many things are happening today in the evolution of cities. Something we call smart cities, I mean the application of different levels of technology to cities is not enough. We need to combine physical space and digital space, to combine territory and technology. And this is the way, in my opinion, to use technology at the service of designing humane cities for the future. When we analyze cities around the world, we can see cities that are really big, cities that are small. We find cities rich and cities poor, cities in cold countries, cities in very hot weather. But the real difference between one city and the other is not about size, is not about the level of income, is about the difference if they have a project or they don't have a project. Cities with a vision, cities with a project is something that really makes the difference. I am really convinced that when a city finds the right leadership, has the capacity to identify a global and common vision for the future, this city has the real capacity of transformation. Leadership, vision are the key components for the transformation, the key component for defining the cities of the future. Thank you, Ukela Friends and Nottingham University for inviting me and inviting Fundación Metropoli to share the experiences in building the cities of the future. Because I really think that this is one of the key topics of the humanity. What if cities could change the world?